Huh. All right, that's weird. My mic just muted by itself. Not sure why. That was dumb and weird. Anyway, let's see how that goes. Let me see something. Yeah, my buttons don't seem to be working on this phone. All right. Huh. Interesting. All right. Well, I think it's working good enough. So, anyway, welcome. The buttons are kind of doing whatever they want, I guess, for a second there. And a big delay on everything. Whatever I touch, it's I don't know, a couple seconds, maybe 5 second delay. So it seems like something's not working, and then it works, but you've already pushed another button. All right. So anyway, the next few days, what is today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, Wednesday and Thursday at least. Next few days, including tonight, we're going to be going over similarities with the Egyptian texts and the Bible. Tonight, we're going to go over some passages because let's see, we got 3 more. Well, anyway, we got a few more of these we're going to do, but we're going to start out tonight with just regular. All right, sorry about that. Got muted. Anyway, so tonight we're going to start with the text. I don't know where I left off when it went mute, but tonight we're going to go over some texts that are in the ancient Egyptian writings, and then they came later in the Hebrew Bible. So, wipe my desk off here to get a nice fresh start. It's kind of settling in here. I've been outside all day, gardening and all that good stuff, working outside, taking care of my plants and my dogs and cats and all that stuff. Today I started my cat on a fresh food diet, a carnivore diet. Well, he will be eating ground turkey, cooked with an egg, with some baked, crushed up eggshells, pulverized into powder, and sprinkled on his food for calcium, and a few other things, flaxseed and some other stuff. I've not got the flaxseed yet, but anyway, today he is just loving it. He's had it's ground turkey with an egg cooked into it. Cooked that all up, and then put some other stuff in there. And anyway, he's loving it. And so he's starting on at 6.5 pounds. I think it was 6.4 pounds. And we'll see how that goes. So we'll see what it's like in a week from now, a month from now. Hopefully he gains weight. He's usually a 12-pound cat. I got sick like 2 years ago. Vet wouldn't even, the vet could, I don't know. Brought him to the vet. They don't know. But I kind of know. I remember what happened was 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, we got the puppy, Lazarus, and Snowy did not like that, and he went into full like worry wart mode. What would you call it? Full anxiety. Hated it. Hated the puppy. It threw his whole routine off. And anyway, then I don't know. A couple months later, we got Caleb, another puppy, which didn't help him. And then several months later, we got, just when he was getting used to that, we got the two cats, the foster cats that I got a home for one and kept the other one. And then, so he's just been thrown for a loop. And on top of it, I remember that, and this is probably what got him sick. I don't know what's wrong with him, but when he started getting sick, it was a combination of super high stress from his routine being turned upside down, stress, and I think the flea medication, because when we got Caleb, he had fleas, and everybody had to get treated by fleas, which is a pesticide. So he was highly stressed, and then he got doused with pesticides. So I think that put him into long-term sickness that he's just gotten worse. One of the kids sick? No, Snowy has been sick for like 2 years since we got the puppies. Threw him for a loop. Couldn't stand the puppies. He was stressed out. Started getting sick, and then he got doused with the flea medication, which is a pesticide. And I think just the combination of everything made him sick. One thing after the next. One puppy, then another puppy, then the foster cats. And anyway, his world was all stressed out. So anyway, he's down to 6 pounds. He's been 6 pounds for about a year. About half his weight. He's skin and bones. And anyway, so today we started him on a, I don't know if you call it a raw meat diet, a raw diet. Anyway, he's a carnivore diet. So he's having cooked ground turkey. Change can be very strange. I think it was a combination. This is usually how life is when people get sick. It's not usually just one thing. It's usually more than one thing. So it was a combination of super high stress, plus I think dosing that frontline on him, all that flea treatment on him, because he got fleas. Everybody got fleas from the puppy, and so everybody got doused with pesticides. Basically, is what frontline is. Flea treatment is over the counter and prescription is basically pesticides. So I think it was just a big combination. So anyway, today I got a recipe for a good high protein, very healthy diet, homemade food for cats. So I got this recipe maybe a week ago. So anyway, I got the ground turkey, and so I ground up the ground turkey. I bought quite a bit of it. So I cooked up the ground turkey, and as it's browning, you of course put some. They said sunflower seed oil, but whatever. But anyway, when you cook it up, you add an egg in there, and then you take the eggshell and dry it out in the oven, or I have a toaster oven I use, and ground up that eggshell and sprinkle it over. That's calcium. Anyway, when it's all cooked, then you sprinkle that calcium over there, and I don't know, I think it said flaxseed. I don't have that yet. And turmeric. I can't remember. A couple things. I can't remember really. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, a couple things. So anyway, today we did try the ground turkey with the egg, and anyway, he loved it, gobbled it up, and anyway, I'm super excited to see if this is gonna get him healthy again. Nice. Homemade is so much better than for both you and your pet. Yeah. Not to mention the dogs really liked it too, because I gave them some. I put it over their kibble. Now they usually eat chicken and vegetables and all that stuff, but I don't know. They tried the ground turkey. They loved it. But mostly it'll be for Snowy. I'm grounding it up for him. And anyway, so I'm excited to see if that's going to help. just a diet and calming, doing things, calming him. Anyway, he's not really stressed out now, but he's stuck with this sickness, whatever he got from all that. So that's the plan, Stan. How was your day today, Grace? Hope all went well for you. I just pretty much worked outside. I worked in my garden, worked in my yard, worked outside. Picked more raspberries and got just completely mauled by mosquitoes. To where I had to be running out of the bushes. Couldn't even, and then they chased me out of the bushes, actually. They followed me. So I got chewed by it. But anyway, I'm trying to now start gathering up some more raspberries for the next batch. So anyway, just worked outside gardening all day. Which and I picked up a whole giant bowl full of cherries off my cherry tree for the first time. That was awesome. I mean, it couldn't get more beautiful and perfect cherries, you know what I mean? In fact, I'll show you real quick and then we'll get started because this is look out, guys. Sorry about that, everybody. Move aside. Move along. Keep them fresh. I put them in my. So this is what I got off of my tree today. First time I've had a harvest. Last year I had this one that's not real ripe, but yeah, last year I had probably 3 or 4 cherries on there. Anyway, beautiful, huh? These came off my tree today. They're just perfect, every one of them. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know what to do with them. I might just pull the pits out and put them in my next batch of jam, my raspberry jam. Put some of that in there. Anyway, so yeah, it was exciting. I had a great day out in the yard. I did some shopping today. I was looking at t-shirts for my brother. Saw a Hell's Fire Club shirt. I'm surprised people don't know what that is, or maybe they do. Hell's Fire Club. I don't know what that is. Let me look it up. Not hip to that. Yeah, you know what? It's kind of weird. I went through Walmart the other day, and I always cut through the clothing, especially like the kids' clothing. You take a straight shortcut and you get to the pet aisle. And every time I cut through there and through the toys, you go straight through both. The clothes and the toys are. I've showed stuff. In fact, I almost took a picture of what I had. Benjamin Franklin was in it, really? All right, let's see. Hell's Fire Club. Named for several exclusive clubs for high society rakes established in Britain and Ireland in the 18th century. Where is the Hellfire Club located, Stranger Things? Yeah. Huh. There was one in New York, or maybe probably still is, 845th Avenue between 66th Street and 67th. 6667. Huh. Interesting. Who's the head of the Hellfire Club? Eddie Munson raises the dungeon master of the Hellfire Club in Stranger Things. Is it in Stranger Things? Well, they're trying to make it into a myth, I think. Throw you off the trail. Benjamin Franklin, huh? It's interesting he survived that whole lightning strike with the kite and the key and all that. That's really good. Amazing, actually. And that's how he invented electricity. Isn't that something? Even more something. If I got struck by a lightning flying a kite with a key, I don't know if I'd ever go around that crap again. But that's just me. Anyway, so yeah, so we're going to go through the Egyptian parallels in the Bible scriptures. And I looked up similarities between Old Testament and Egyptian. It says the portrayal of a God who provides for humans and animals and who helps and rescues can be found in both biblical Psalms, Psalm 65, 10-14, and Psalm 32-4, and Egyptian Psalms. Same thing, Egyptian hymns, Psalms. The Egyptians had Psalms also. Almost same Psalm, 65 and 30. The concept of the creation of the world by the quote-unquote divine word is similar to both the Bible, Genesis 1, Psalms 33, 6-9, and Egypt. That's right. And just think about it. What came first? Chicken or the egg? Not just kidding. Come on, cat, get out of here. What came first? The Egyptian writings or the Hebrew writings? Well, Egyptian writings came first. Egyptians were the first ones to even, the first, how would you say it? The first, like they got the oldest writings where there's actual words and sentences. And I can't remember. We should go over it sometime. I think they're just like shapes, like triangle shapes or whatever. But anyway, they're the first ones I think that invented like whole sentences with the Egyptians. I mean, the farthest hieroglyphics or whatever, the farthest they can go back, it's Egyptians. I mean, and you know what I thought was also strange? How how excuse me, this cat's really got to go. I know you're lovey-dovey right now, but you gotta go. Come on. He's being all snuggly bugly because he's been outside all day. Cat threw me off. Get out of here. But just think about it, Moses. As a matter of fact, I was listening to I like Jennifer Bird. I like her studies every day. And she's talking about Moses, and I thought, you know what? I've thought about this before, and I didn't type anything in, but I've thought about this for a while. And I've even said it, like, okay, so it's like there's no denying that civilization started in Egypt. Like you can't come along thousands of years ago and say that Israel was the first nation. You can't do that because there was just overwhelming proof that Egypt was here long before the Hebrews. You know what I mean? I mean, there's still to this day tons of evidence and proof and everything else right in front of everybody that the Egyptians were always here first. So I thought, I think it's kind of funny how, like, the Israelites wanted Moses in the story, right? So they got to get Moses in the story. But wait, Egypt was here first. So, okay, so so they're thinking to themselves, okay, I get it, I got it. They said, let's well, actually, so they're copying, and this is actually also plagiarized, or I don't know if you want to call it plagiarized. It's copied from other writings where people are put in baskets. In fact, we've gone over that on here before. There's been other babies, famous babies, that have been put in a a weaved basket with pitch on it. Even the part with the pitch on the basket and sent down the river. I forgot who the other one was. But anyway, same story. But I thought to myself, it's kind of funny because if you think about it, it would kind of explain a lot of things that are wrong with the Old Testament. And I don't want to say wrong. I'm saying like red flags I saw in the Old Testament from all cultures. Yeah. And right, it's not just the Egyptians too. So anyway, these stories are coming out everywhere. But so the Israelites kind of got to make it seem like Moses was like at the beginning more than anybody. Anyway, so what do they do? Well, you gotta put yourself in Egypt, okay? Because Egypt was there first. So somehow Moses has to get himself into Egypt. The writers have to get Moses into Egypt. So they, they had the genocide thing with the male baby boys or whatever. I don't know, whatever, whoever they killed. So anyway, so the mom, they get the idea to put the mom and send the baby down the river. And now the Egyptians have the baby in the castle because there's no way to get an Israelite man from a long ways away into the Egyptian royalty when he's older, you know what I mean? So you gotta like say, so I forgot what they called it when you make up a story and there's like a plot, and you have to like explain. You have to explain how we got to this point. So every story has that. So, and that's kind of what it is. It's like how can we have Moses like be really important, but also be be really high in the Egyptian over there in the the castle and all that stuff with the king or whatever they call him, pharaoh, whatever they had back then, royalty, right? So they think, okay, we'll send him down the river in the basket. Then she gets the baby. And what I was saying about that, Jennifer Bird was talking about the Moses story today, and she was reading, and you remember the part where Moses gets put down the river with the weaved basket with the pitch on it. So he's floating down like a boat, and the princess or whoever, the royalty lady, she like, they find the baby, and one of her slaves or whatever, her workers say, should we go they figure out, well, where'd this baby come from? They're like, oh, it must be one of those the ones that are all being slaughtered. Israelites or whoever they are. Anyway, it must be a Hebrew baby. They figure out, oh, it's a Hebrew baby. So what do they do? And this part I thought was weird too. I always thought this was weird. So instead of like just finding a wet nurse, a woman to nurse this child, they actually, the worker asked the boss, should I go find a Hebrew woman to nurse this baby? I always thought, that is weird. Like, why would you have to specifically go get like the brand of milk has to be Hebrew milk? You know what I mean? But anyway, she brought up kind of an interesting point. So then later so if they just got like an Egyptian to nurse Moses, they would say, oh, they could say, oh, Moses is tainted. He's got Egyptian DNA in it, you know what I mean, or whatever. Back then they didn't know what DNA, but say the bloodline was tainted because Moses' bloodline, because he was nursed by an Egyptian or something like that. But I said, yeah, it is weird how they said go get an Egyptian or go get a Hebrew woman to nurse this baby. Anyway, so it is kind of weird how they have to like get Moses into the royalty over there and then get him back out. So you got to get him in, and then you got to get him back out. So you got to have a reason for him to be there, and then you have to have a reason for him to get out. So then he, murders somebody, And like these days, he'd be in prison the rest of his life. But anyway, he has to escape, and that's the reason, and that and only that is why he had to leave, right? Anyway, so they find a reason to get Moses back out of there. Okay, he's done his job. He's been there, and now he gets back out. Anyway, now he's part of the story. And I thought, you know what else? I always thought about this like, oh, okay, people leave, like Adam and Eve and Methuselah live, they're all living in 900 years old, and Noah lived, what, 600 years old, or how old was Noah? He built the ark, it's like 500 when it started, and it took so then you're in the 600. And I thought, there is no way a body would hold up for 1,000 years. I mean, let's think about it. Anyway, so I thought, you know what? Why would somebody say that? Well, to me, my guess, because you can believe what you want, but my guess, I just don't, I don't know. But my guess is that they needed, so Adam has to be alive from, beginning to time to this to 900 years, and then of course you have to have Noah around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Because why? Because when he's born and when he dies is not gonna match up if he's got 100-year life. You know what I mean? So say I'm in a story. See, somebody put me in the story, and but the story was from like the 1600s, okay, or 1700s, but they want me to put me in the story, so I'd have to live like hundreds of years in order to say, but wait a minute, she was alive in 2023. So how could she have been alive in the 1700s? Well, she lived, 900 years or whatever. 19, what I mean? So I think they fudge the age on these people so they can maybe justify that they're here, but then they're 500 years later, they're in the story here, and then hundreds of years later, he's still in the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could I be in a story that is, say there's a book that's 1,000-year from, the year 1023 to 2023. Yeah, add 1,000 years. So say you're doing a documentary on life from 1023 to 2023, 1,000-year there. So they're doing a documentary, and I'm in the picture. I'm in the story in 1023. I'm in the story in the 1500s. I'm in the story in the 1800s, and I'm in the story in 2023. People would say, wait a minute, how can she? Well, and then you'd have to say, well, she lived to 970 years old. It's the only way you can get out of that. The only way that you can not just kind of concede that, okay, they weren't in all that time span. You'd have to say, well, she lived to be 950 years old. That's why she's in the 1800s and the 1500s and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think that's why they say they lived so long, because in my opinion, a human body cannot last that long. And I hate when people say, well, people age longer, they age more now because the pollution and there wasn't so much sin and stuff. How do you know? When somebody says it wasn't this bad 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, or 500 years ago, how do you know? It wasn't like this back when Jesus was. How do you know? How do you know what it was like in the first century? All you can go by is history, and it looked horrible. Most people didn't live very long. Just think about if you a tooth infection will take you out by age 25. You know what I mean? Or maybe a stab wound, or maybe you got impaled by a tree or something riding a horse. Yeah, whatever it is, you could have a fever take you out. And talk about evil, it wasn't evil back then, man. Are you kidding? Do you see fires going on every corner where you could, with false gods, or I don't want to say false gods, but ancient gods, where you can take your baby and chuck it in the fire and like make a wish and throw the baby in? I mean, so they had that. That was right out in the open. They had places going where you could, make a wish and throw your baby in the fire or in the lake or whatever it was. And anyway, they don't have that right now. So I would say I wouldn't be so quick to say there wasn't a lot of evil back then either. Because yeah, there was. I don't know. People think it's like I don't even know. Anyway, I mean, just look in the first century, the Roman executions, the crucifixions and stuff. Whew, brutal, brutal. And they wanted it to be brutal, and they wanted everybody to see how brutal it is. Not like, oh, it was. We heard in the prison that they were beating people. No, they brought them out in the public and beat the crap out of them and smacked them and stabbed them and everything else. It was dangerous. Walking, traveling highwaymen would take you out in a heartbeat. Exactly. As a matter of fact, that's the story of the Good Samaritan. Was that was what it was. People, you know what? In fact, just walking from one city, walking on the dirt road up to the temple. I've seen pictures and videos of those roads. So what they do is they like cut these trails or whatever. They're just trails, paths, and they're like through these windy mountain crevices and stuff. So you don't even know what's around the next corner. Not like you're walking. There's fields and fields where you can see stuff. Nope. They came out of everywhere. And yeah, it was really dangerous. The story of the Good Samaritan was actually, which is actually, that is, I think, the most like a prejudice story. What would you say? Because think about it. It's like, a white guy, a black guy, and an Asian all see this guy, and only, the one color guy helped him, and the other two color people didn't. Same story. And so it makes like, so the priest didn't stop and help. So now I guess all priests are demonized because of that one guy, really. And then the next one came and whatever, but it was the Samaritan, which people in Samaria, like the woman at the well that Jesus talked to, they were like Jews at one time, or they were, the Jews at one time, but they weren't following none of the traditions or something like that. So they were looked on by the Jews. They were looked down on. Not really posers, but as like just they're not like not all the way Jewish. Plus, you dress as like your fellow tribesmen, which was good. Yet it also made you stick out. Yeah. 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 So the Samaritans were kind of looked down on, which you can see in the story of Jesus and the woman at the well. You can see it, how the Samaritans are looked down on, and also the Good Samaritan story itself, where that person from Samaria was supposed to be like the quote unquote the low life in the group, but turns out the priests and I don't know whoever else was there, rabbi or whatever, they were turned out to be the bad guys. I mean, so anyway, just I don't know. So anyway, so we're gonna get into this story. similarities. Well, not story, but a little study here we're going to show. In the next few nights, we're going to look at a few things, the similarities between the Egyptian writings and the Bible, particularly like the Hebrew text. Yep, and that's why eventually they invented the turncoat. So if you're on the blue team and the blue team is getting their butt kicked, you can just turn your jacket inside out and wear the red part and join the team that's winning. The red team's winning. Turn your jacket inside out to the red and join them. That's the definition of a turncoat. And then the blue team starts winning. You turn it back inside out and where it looks blue, and you go join them. And that's what they did. That is a turncoat. Anyway, literally. So let's get into this, shall we? Before I just talk too much. Oh, I already did. Too late. The portrayal of a God who provides for humans and animals and who helps and rescues can be found in both biblical psalms and Egyptian hymns. Now, the concept of the creation of the world by the quote-unquote divine word is similar to both in the Bible and in Egypt. So let's excuse me. My computer froze up because I ignored it too long. You know what I saw today? I listened tonight when I was doing something. I listened to a story about Osiris, and but they were saying that he, instead of like we heard, he got chopped up into 13 pieces. But some people say 14 pieces. They found 13 and they didn't find one. Well, I think there's two stories. I think there's two different stories about Osiris, how he died, because there's another story where he got caught up into 42 pieces. So I don't know. I'm not real familiar with all that, but anyway, it just sounds weird because sometimes he's cut up in 42 pieces and sometimes he's cut up into 12 or 13 or whatever. So anyway, so let's check this out, shall we? Ancient Egyptian parallels in the Bible. Let's check this out. All right. Now, Walmart trying to pop up in ancient Egypt. Another one. Should I report this ad? I'm reporting you, Credio. Yeah. Anyway. So, ancient Egyptian parallels in the Bible. Now, what I'm going to be reading tonight is, and I don't think there's any way for me to blow this up. It's at 100% right now. Let's see. Sometimes when you blow it up, yeah, it doesn't work. So let me see. Let me see if we can blow this up at all, huh? See, then it runs off the page. Oops. Maybe there's like a fruit fly or something here. A mosquito or something. Oh, speaking of fruit flies, man, I just bought a watermelon. It was a 9 out of a 10, man. That new technique I learned how to pick a watermelon is working 100% of the time. All right, nope. See, when you blow it up, it gets too big and it goes off the page. So I can't do that. That's always what it does. So I gotta leave it at 100%, but I will read it and kind of leave it up so you can see it. All right, see, I mean, it's probably too small for you to read, but anyway, so we got the ancient Egyptian text here, and we're going to compare the ancient Egyptian text, which was much earlier than the biblical text. So we got, oops, I'm plugged in here. I want to put my battery down. So we got the ancient Egyptian text, and we also comparing it to the biblical text, okay? Now remember which one was first. And you know what else I noticed? And you know what else I was listening to the video about Osiris and Isis or whatever. They're not Isis, but Ra and Osiris. And if you notice, the names are almost the same too. Because just think about it. Ancient Egypt. just think about this. Adam and Eve have a child, 2 children, Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel. So Abel's gone. Cain gets exiled or whatever. So now they have a new child called him Seth, S-E-T-H, Seth, which means replacement, they said, or something like that in Genesis. And it's funny because Seth is an ancient Egyptian god, you know what I mean? And if you say amen, well, amen, amen, it was also an Egyptian god. And it's like these names keep coming up. And Adam and Eve, Adam was also an Egyptian, ancient Egyptian god. Or whoever it was. Oh, here, right here. No, it was Adam was the god. So here, at the moment of creation, Adam spoke. I alone am the creator. So in the ancient Egyptian text, Adam is the creator. Ancient Egyptian text, Adam. So just think about that. Adam and Eve, Adam the first man. You know what I mean? Like these names, they cannot be a coincidence. Seth, Adam, whoever else. Anyway, Israel. Anyway, I just love these cherries, though. You know how perfect they are. I can't see because it's too dark. They are beautiful. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. Maybe put them in jam. So anyway, I got extra room here, so let me move. It's out of the way. Get a little bit closer, maybe. No coincidence. You're right, Grace. I don't think so either. Okay, so let's doggone it. What is this pop-up thing here? What in tarnations? Right, there it goes. All right. So now look at the date on this, okay? Ancient Egyptian text, 25 to 21 BCE, okay? And I think it was way before that. But anyway, so let's see what the Egyptian text says. And then we'll compare it to the biblical text. Okay, now this is creation story in Genesis 1. But over here we have the Egyptian text, which came first. And I'm going to read it. Quote, at the moment of creation, Adam spoke, I alone am the creator. When I came into being, all life began to develop. When the Almighty speaks, all else comes to life. So he speaks things into existence. See that? Speaks things into and I don't know if it's going to be on here, but also they also had I just saw another ancient story where the god I can't remember. It was an Egyptian story where the god started with a bunch of water and he had to separate the water from top to bottom. Yeah, it just like Genesis. I mean, but anyway, I'll stick to this right now. So Egyptian set. Does this sound familiar? At the moment of creation, Adam spoke. I alone am the creator. When I came into being, all life began to develop. When the Almighty speaks, all else comes to life. So he speaks things into existence. There were no heavens and no earth. There was no dry land, and there were no reptiles in the land. Okay, so there's no dry land, which means it was water. And this is consistent with, well, the creation story in Genesis 1, where there's waters above and below. He had to separate the water. No dry land. Well, there was no dry land. And actually, you could see where it is. This is almost like word for word right here. Anyway, so that is hymn to Adam, which is a psalm to Adam, and Old King 25 to 20. All right. Now let's look at the biblical text that compares to it. It says, and this is biblical text, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. Genesis 1:1 and 1:1 and 2. All right, almost same thing. There was no heavens, no earth, no dry land, no reptiles. So there's nothing. Not even reptiles? Nope. All right, next text here. Ancient Egyptian text says, quote, the souls of all the living were created in the image of Ptah, P-T-A-H, Ptah, all formed in his heart and by his tongue. So again, Ptah spoke everything, formed it by speaking, formed it. So it was formed by speaking. The hymn of Ptah, 19th dynasty in 1307 to 1196 BC. Now, the one that's very, very similar to it in the Bible is Genesis 1:27. It says, quote, so God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Same with that. The souls, all living, were created in the image of Ptah. So God created them in his image. Ptah created them in the image. You know what I mean? Same thing, Egyptian, biblical. Remember which one came first. Next. This one right here, quote, in the Egyptian text, it says, having done all these things, Pa rested and was content with his work. That's a hymn to Pa, which is a psalm to Pa. He rested. After he did all those things, he rested. Now, what did the Bible say? God saw that all that he had made, and it was very good. By the seventh day, God had finished. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. You know what I thought was interesting? And now this is kind of clicking together because, you know, in the Bible, it tells you, you know, to do the Sabbath. It's the fourth commandment. But they've changed. But over during the Old Testament, they give more than one reason why God made the Sabbath. Now, in the beginning, the first reason is that you have to do the Sabbath because you work 6 days and rest the seventh day, you rest one. And that's what God did. He on the seventh day, God finished. On the seventh day, he rested from his work. And this is the original reason what I see as what they gave for the reason the Sabbath, right? Why God commanded the Sabbath. Well, later on, as the reason for the Sabbath is because I brought you out of the land of Egypt. You were slaves for 400 years, and you had to work 7 days a week. And now the Sabbath rest is, going to remind you, because they did. And just think about it. If you're working, if for 400 years, for forever, everybody works 7 days a week. Yeah, when they come out of Egypt, they have to be trained all over again. Okay, only work 6 and rest 1. Let everybody, let the animals rest. Everybody gets a rest once a week. So they kind of had to. I see that they had to kind of kind of remind them that. You know what I mean? But later they'll say, God, the reason for the Sabbath is because, that's what I saw. Anyway, so next. Ancient Egyptian text says, quote, that's weird, huh? Stories of Shenu, 1991 to 1962, but that's BC. Anyway, quote, he let me choose my own land from among his holdings with the land of Yah. You see that? The land of Yah. Y-A-A. Yah. Sound familiar? He let me choose my own land from among his holdings within the land of Yah. It was a land overflowing with figs and grapes. Instead of, but don't worry about the honey's coming. But land overflowing with figs and grapes. It had more wine than water, honey and oil in abundance. So it was a land flowing with wine and honey. Instead of milk and honey, it was wine and honey. They had more wine than they had water. Which is funny because they're in the desert. Anyway. But yeah, land. Now look at the words. Land overflowing, honey and oil in abundance. Okay. So what does the biblical text say in Exodus 3:8 and 13:5 says, to bring them up out of the land with a good and into a good and suspicious land. I'm sorry, good, not suspicious. Hey, we're going into a land with a bunch of paranoid freaks. No, just kidding. They're not suspicious at all. Not yet, anyway. I read that wrong. I got this. I saw her. Is that Leland Jones? No. I have not seen his oil. I haven't heard anybody speaking about Leland Jones oil ever, actually. He's the only one I heard put that kind of a spin on it. Exodus 3:8. So to bring them up out of the land into a what? Good and spacious land. A land flowing with milk and honey. That's the one we know, milk and honey. Land overflowing, not just flowing, but overflowing with figs and grapes, honey and wine. So, all right, next. Let's see how many we got. We've got quite a few. I don't know if we'll get to them all tonight because I talk too much. Let's see. So some of these we might be going over tomorrow. We'll get into it faster tomorrow. All right, milk and honey. Okay, next. In the Egyptian text, it says, quote, to Pharaoh, ruler of the heavens and earth, from Beridia, governor of Megiddo. Look at that. Megiddo had a governor. Governor's name was Beridia. El Amarna letters, 1391 to 1335. Letters were addressed to Amenophis. Ooh, look at that. The name Amen in there. Amen. Amenophis III and Akhenaten by their governors in Syria, Palestine. Over here in Acts, this is the New Testament. In Acts, Luke writes, the God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth and does not live in temples built by human hands. That's Acts 17:24. Egyptian text says, and this is the 4th century BC, so 400 BC. Divine plans are one thing, human desires are another. And that's the teachings of Akhenaten in Egypt. And Proverbs says, in their hearts, human beings plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Same thing. Divine plans are one thing, human plans are another. Humans plan a course, but God's got other plans. That's actually, I've seen that one on billboards outside churches. All right. Now, this one's a little longer, but listen to the story. One day, a strong man from Syria, Palestine, pushed his way into my tent and challenged me to a duel. He was a warrior without equal. He had never lost a duel. Every heart embraced me as the underdog. I was armed with a shield an axe, and a whole armful of javelins. One after another, I dodged his javelins and sidestepped his arrows. I finally waited. I waited. Finally, the strong man rushed me. Then I shot him in the neck with an arrow. With a loud cry, he fell on his face, mortally wounded. I finished him off with his own axe, and then stood on his back and let out a battle cry, while all the people of Syria and Palestine thundered their applause. And that's from 1991, 1962 BCE. Now, similarly, you'll hear in Samuel. See if this sounds any similarities here in the book of Samuel. And you know, I always thought this book of Samuel had some weird war stories. I mean, just weird stories. Just like, I mean, and a lot of the Old Testament does, I guess. Like weird things happen to people. I guess that's life, though, isn't it? A champion named Goliath, okay, David and Goliath. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. He had a bronze helmet in his hand, on his head, and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze. On his legs, he bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, David slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. David ran and stood over him and took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it. And after he killed him, he cut off his head with the sword. The men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines. Yay! Same thing. He was armed with a shield, axe, and an armful of javelins. The bad guy. The little guy, he shot him in the neck. You know, David hit him in the forehead with the rock. This guy shot the dude in the neck. Big dude fell forward on his face, mortally wounded. And little guy came and finished him off with his own axe. Okay, David finishes off Goliath with his own sword. This dude finished other dude off with his own axe and let out a battle cry, and all the people applauded. What happened? The men of Israel surged forward with this shout. Same story. Pretty close anyway. I mean, maybe they both happened the same. I don't know. Anyway, here's another ancient Egyptian writing. It says, "You are human, not divine. Your task is to live life to its fullest." Ecclesiastes kind of writes something similar. "I know that there's nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live." Some Christians out there say you can't be happy. One in particular. All right, next. And this is a writing from 2050 BC to 1800 BC. "A Sefer and a Soul of Egypt." Now remember, you know what? If you look it up, the oldest writings of Egyptian, like I said, the oldest writings ever right now that you could ever trace back are the hieroglyphics of Egyptians. And I think that's like 4,500 BCE, like long before anybody wrote anything down in Israel, you know what I mean? Anyway. But yeah, this goes back to like 4,000, I think, with the first writings. I'd have to double check. For 4,500, I don't know. A long time. All right, next. Actually, you know, I'm going to do this backward. I'm going to read the biblical text first. In the Bible, Isaiah 64:8, it says, "Yet you, Lord, are our Father. We are the clay, you are the potter. We are all the work in your hand." All the work in your hand. I, Num, this is the Egyptian writing now. "I, Num, say to the Hapashat, the divine potter says to the child of Amun-Ra," there's that Amun-Ra, that's the spin-off from Ra, Amun-Ra, "I have created you from the divine patron of Karnak." Remember Karnak, the Egyptian? the magician or the Egyptian magician. That's like a kitchen magician, huh? Anyway, I have made you a divine child. Interesting. I've created you. The divine potter says to the child, Lord says to the children, you're the clay, I'm the potter. Well, they already said that over here. Anyway, next. Psalm 22 says, I will declare your name to my people. In the assembly, I will praise you. Psalm 22:22. But Egyptian older texts say, I will extol your name throughout the land. And that was a quote from a farmer in the courts of Egypt. A farmer. There you go. Now in Judges 13:3-5, the angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. The boy is to be a Nazarite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will begin to deliver Israel from the hands of the Philistines. Of course, they're talking about what? Who? One of his guys had Samson. The one who got a hair cut off. Couldn't think of his name for a second. Samson. Anyway, now the Annals of Hepeshut says, I am your servant. Do with me what you will. Does that sound familiar? I'm your servant. Do with me what you will. I, Amun-Ra, praise Amros, the divine patron of Thebes, says to the queen, I have given you a child. You will name her Hapeshat. She will reign over the land of Egypt. Yep. Pre-planned birth like Samson and a few others. All right, next. Luke seems to be quoting something here. He says, but the angel said to her, you will conceive and give birth to a son. You are to call him Jesus. Kind of the same line, right? The angel says this is what you're going to do. You're going to get pregnant. You're going to have a baby, and this is what you can call it. Same story. But this is the same as the Samson and what else? Oh, you know who else? John the Baptist. There's a few. I mean, yes, you must hate the world and all that's in the world. That's right. That's the Christian motto. Some Christians. Now, I hope Christians realize that you're supposed to enjoy life. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit is joy. You know what I mean? Not crabby asses. All right, I'm sorry. I'll keep going. All right. Okay, so Song of Songs, quote, the mandrakes send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy, both new and old, that I've stored up for you, my beloved. And also, your hair is like royal tapestry. Isn't that what every woman wants to hear? Your hair is like royal tapestry. The king is held captive by its tresses. Grace, you want a man to tell you that? Your hair is like royal tapestry. Your royal tapestry. Tapestry. I'm sorry. And the king is held captive by the curtain rod. Anyway. But I think they might have copied that from this. Anyway. This is who knows? This is at the time of Ramses. And you know what? That's another thing. The Ramses and the pharaohs and all that. Anyway. Her breasts are mandrake blossoms. Well, there you go. Her arms are vines. Her eyes are shaded like berries. She needs to get some sleep. Her head is a trap built from branches, and I am the goose. Her hair is bait in the trap to ensnare me. Well, her hair is like royal tapestry. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Where did Jesus get this, huh? We all know this one, right? Because this is from Matthew's Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7. That is very romantic to say your hair looks like curtains and I'm your curtain rod or whatever. All right. Yeah, okay. Hair tapestry, okay. I don't know how many times somebody said that to me. My hair looks like tapestry. I'm like, well, thank you. I was just going to Walmart the other day and somebody said, wow, your hair is beautiful. It looks like tapestry. I thought, thank you. I love tapestry. Anyway. Next, now we all know Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 7:12. Jesus said, so in everything, do unto others which you would have done unto you. You know, now they're saying Mandela effect, saying this is not in the Bible anymore. Yeah, it is. It's right here. It's the golden rule. It doesn't say golden rule, but it's right there. It used to say golden rule. It never said golden rule, but it's right there. They didn't take it out. Do unto others you had done unto you. Same. But the farmer in the courts, you know that guy, that farmer in the courts in Egypt, he said, now look at this, is thousands of years before Luke, 21:34, thousands, literally 2,000 years before Luke. I mean, before Matthew, before the first century, Gospels. And what did they say? The farmer said, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Okay, that's Egyptian writing. Matthew, so in everything, do unto others you are done unto, huh? Really? There you go. Hold on a second. Can't get that blue thing off. All right, there it goes. Oh, here's another one. Let me just see if I can. How many is left? Okay, we'll get through these tonight if I keep going. No, I won't. No, I won't. Unless we go another half hour. Maybe I'll wrap it up now. Do the rest of these tomorrow. All right. All right. That's interesting. Anyway, here's another one. Psalm 104:12 says, the birds of the sky nest by the waters. They sing among the branches. Egyptian writings say birds fly to their nest and they spread their wings to praise Ka. Praise our Ka. Ka, the Egyptian god. Oh, I'm going to do one more. My voice, yeah. All right, we'll stop there. We'll stop at the birds in the nest. All right. All right, I'll wrap it up. We'll do the rest of these tomorrow, and I'm going to put the link up in case anybody wants to do a sneak peek and go ahead and, or if you want this for some reason. Did I copy? No. Can I copy? Let me copy and paste if it will let me. Oh, it's not letting me. Why is it sometimes it don't let me, sometimes it does? Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So, did I already get it? Oh, let me just see. Oh, look who's there. When I get off of here, but that's a clue what I'm gonna do when I get off of here. I'm gonna be making a video. That's right. Somebody's about to get a video tonight. If I finish it tonight. Huh. Yep. We gotta let Miss Khadijah Reeves know that what she is supporting over there. You know what came up on my feed? Look at this. I didn't really watch this guy that too much anymore, but he had a cool Sodom and Gomorrah thing. Anyway, remember that round Saturn eye? This is his channel now. It's called Rise or something like that. Used to have like a dollar sign, remember? That's when I used to watch it. But anyway, the hidden secrets of the Vatican. Look at their outfits. Look familiar? Anyway, that don't look too good. All right. Anyway. Oh, it is so hot in here. I gotta turn the fan back on. It was kind of noisy, so I turned it off. But it draws that cold air in from outside. It's in the 60s right now. Just wonderful. Looks like the Hellfire Club. Yeah, is it really? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, man. Because we know that KKK was the government thing. Why? Well, their name is right in it. KKK. K is the 11th letter, which is 11. Then you have another K, that's another 11. Another K, that's another 11. There's your 33. So your KKK is 11 plus 11 plus 11. It's got their number right on it. 33. It's KKK 11 11 11. All right. I'm gonna see if I can somehow copy and paste this thing on here, but I don't think it's working. The Hellfire Club, huh? Let me see if I can turn this in the chat. No, it's not done it. Maybe not. I wanted to put the link for this, but maybe if I can't do it tonight, I'll put it tomorrow. It's not letting me copy and paste it. I don't know why. It's just weird. Once in a while, it will do that. It won't let me copy and paste. I don't know if anybody else has to go through that, or if it's just something that's acting up on my end. I don't know. Anyway, it's not letting me copy and paste, but the site that we are going through tonight and tomorrow is called ProjectAugustine.com, Biblical Studies, Ancient Near East Studies, Ancient Egyptian Parallels in the Bible. I'll just show you real quick, just in case you missed it. You can always leave it afterwards. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, or in the description box. Thank you. I'm going to try to remember to do that. That's a good idea. But here it is. You can type this in, Ancient Egyptian Parallels in the Bible. This is the Ancient Near East Studies, Home Biblical Studies, Ancient Egyptian Parallels in the Bible. That's the one where we're on tonight. It shows the parallels between, word for word. You can't deny that these are, word for word. And yeah, remember which one came first. You know what I mean? Which writings came first? So you can compare the dates, and like I said, there's thousands of years before. Some of them, the Luke was 2,000 years after that one quote. Anyway, all right, guys, well, I'll wrap it up and say good night. My foot is cramped up here. I got a dog under my feet here. Anyway, all right, well, thank you, Grace, for coming into the chat. I appreciate that. Anybody who's listening, thanks for coming in and listening. If you're listening on the replay, thanks for listening on the replay. We thank our Father, our Creator, for our blessings today and the gathering tonight. We thank you. Anyway, and thank you guys also for anybody who's here. Like I said, watch on the replay. Thanks for watching on the replay. We're going to be going through lots of parallels. This is so what I wanted to do with this Egyptian study is to start out introducing the Egyptian gods, which I did. I mean, not extensively, but we you saw the top whatever. There's not a certain number like the Olympian gods, but anyway, the top ones. Then we went through all of them. And now that you're kind of familiar, that we're familiar with it, now we're going to go to the parallels between the Egyptian writings and the Bible, Old or New Testament, whatever, both. And so anyway, that's what we're going to be doing, continuing this week, comparing the Egyptian writings with the biblical text. So anyway, thanks for coming in. I hope to see you tomorrow night. And in the meantime, I hope you have wonderful, restful sleep tonight. And I hope you all have an awesome Wednesday. Have a great hump day. And I hope you have a blessed day. Anyway, well, thank you, Grace. Love you too. Love, prayers, and blessings to you all. Yes, everybody. Love, prayers, and blessings to everybody. A shout out to everybody. Like I said yesterday, I don't shout out everybody because I don't know who's listening. Like, there's a lot of people I could shout out to Molly, but I don't think she's listening. But a shout out to Molly. I don't think she's listening, but anyway, here she is. A shout out to well, I mean, I could shout out people I think are listening, but as I said, there's some people I don't shout out because I don't think they're listening. So anyway, but if they are, I don't mean to be forgetting you. I just anyway, don't want to leave anybody out, so I don't want to start with names. So anyway, good night, everybody. God bless you all, and peace and all that stuff. And you know what? Now, hopefully tonight I can sign off because that other night I wasn't able to sign off. I had to let the thing burn out itself. Like a pack of firecrackers, man, that was lit. I just had to stand back and let it fizzle out by itself. Anyway, all right, good night, everybody.